So g'day boys and girls, welcome back into the studio for another channel chat. Like I said in the first one, I'll do this sort of sporadically, mainly just when there's stuff I need to go through, want to go through, any of those sort of things. So yeah, figured it was a good time to do one. And obviously leading up to it, like you would have seen for this one, I do give you the opportunity to ask me questions and I'll answer them as best I can during this time, so that way you can actually hear my response as opposed to just seeing some text, because I also type in shorthand because usually I'm bloody busy like anyone. So first things first is what is going on with videos at the moment. I have been delayed because of a few things. Some of those will make sense later on when I cover something else, but other reasons are, for example, last weekend me and my partner went away for 4 or 5 days to a music festival. So we're doing holidays, we've got stuff on. It is one of those things, unfortunately I don't do this for a living, so I am going to be limited in what I can do. I do have a few coming up. For example, I do have an M24, I got a V2 alloy kit and a bunch of other stuff, and I want to see if I can do a video where gel ball sniping can actually be a thing as opposed to just running around with a bolt action for the fun of it. There's a few things we've been testing out which might make that a somewhat viable play, and I'd love to actually do it and then show you guys in the video how I thought it worked and went. Mostly because it's something different rather than just running around with a drum mag. The other thing is I do have this wonderful little TAR-21 or Tavor for those who are into their weapons, which I've always liked the shape of them. I do like some bullpup rifles, they look kind of cool, so I am keen on this one. And it's a Gen 8 as well, so it's actually not all that expensive. So it is what it is, but I wouldn't mind having a go with that, having a play with it and maybe doing a review. Let me know if you're keen on finding out what it's like. Standard Gen 8 clone, so it's probably not going to be anything above what we've already seen on the Gen 8 M4A1s and Gen 9s, but still, it's ripe for modification, so it's pretty good. Other than that, I am still waiting for the JM11 AK-12, I believe it is, which is coming out soon. I think they may have just released in China from memory, so they shouldn't be too far away. I'm also waiting for a LDT HK416 to come in because that one's looking really good and I'm very keen on that. I am also hoping to get my hands on a couple of other minor ones on the side. I do want to do a video on the BLG, I believe it's BLG M16, the A1 looking one, the old Vietnam War era look one, which looks cool. And I do have access to one and I'll probably do a review on it. But at the moment, I'm purely trying to figure out what's coming in because then I need to figure out which ones I'm doing first. Obviously, I want to try and get the new ones out as quick as possible before everyone goes buys them and finds out that there's massive problems with them. Sorry, small cough. But other than that, that's about where we're at for videos. I do want to get out to play more games. Again, there's another thing I'll touch on shortly, which will explain why I haven't got as many gameplay videos up. Yeah, so I want to make more gameplay videos. I've got a few things I want to do there, and yeah, I do actually want to travel to some of the other fields, such as in Southeast Corner, around Brisbane and whatnot, or yeah, all that sort of stuff. So there is a bit going on. Try and bear with me as best you can. I am trying to do it and as you would have seen from the reviews, they're not quick to make. So it's easy enough for me to just put a blaster on the table, run it through a chrono, go outside and put it together. No fancy footage, no music, no real effort to the editing, and it probably wouldn't take me long to make them. But I like to go that extra mile because to me, if you're looking at a blaster to buy, you'll want to see it, you want to see how it looks, because I do think a lot of people will pick their favorite blaster based on the way they look, not just their performance. I know for a fact that I personally will go for something I like the look of better than, even if there's a much better blaster that I don't like the look of. Yeah, so the fact that I don't really have any M4s or I don't really play with any M4s is probably the biggest indication of that. But that's just me. Obviously everyone's opinion varies on that. However, I'm going to continue doing them the way they are because everyone seems to be liking it. So it is what it is. Other than that, I do have a couple of things. So I have drawn up a design for a patch for the channel because I feel like that's the sort of thing you're supposed to do. Yeah, anyway, I wanted to do one for a while anyway. I was just never that good at doing any of that sort of graphic design, and I just knocked this together and asked a few people and they all seemed to like it. So if I remember, which I should, hopefully, because I'll be the one listening to myself as I edit this, I'll put a picture of it here somewhere, so you can have a look. Tell me what you think, if you like it, if you'd want one, that sort of thing. I have already got an order of them coming. The problem is I don't know how long they're actually going to take to get here because they're getting made overseas. So they are the PVC type, not just the cotton stitch threads type, because I think it'll go a bit better out in the weather and whatnot, but we'll see how they go. Again, when they arrive, if you're keen for one, I'll let you know how you can get your hands on one, all that sort of stuff. I do have at least 2 people who are going to get one for free, and that's those 2 because they've actually they've actually felt the need or wish to hand me some money. So I can't say no to that. Least I can do is give them a piece of rubber. Giggity. I'm never going to get a donation again after that. It is what it is. The other one is I do have a couple of other ideas for team patches. So there's always in skirmishing the whole red team, blue team, that sort of thing. And I thought I might have a little bit of a fun take on it. Now, I will put the pictures down below here, hopefully, depending on where they best fit on the screen. But I've got a couple of design ideas for like a red team, a blue team, a green team, and a yellow team. So the sort of thing you could sort of take anywhere and have a bit of fun with. Let me know what you think of them and if you would buy them. Because I'm thinking of getting a bunch made up and selling them as well, because at the end of the day, while I won't make a lot of profit out of it, it will again go towards the channel. So it's all in that regard, it's all worthwhile. I've also got 3 t-shirts I'm getting made up as testers to see how that goes. Once I actually get them, I'll show you what they look like. I just want to see what it's going to be like before I commit to buying a heap of them and trying to get them out to people if they want them. But if you are keen for something like that, let me know. Of course, it's not just going to be my logo and that's it, because it's boring. It's going to be some stupid comments. And yeah, it is. It's pretty bad. But anyway, I'll let you guys be the judge of that, as usual. The next one is... So with, say, not quite sponsored content, working with stores, that sort of thing, what's your guys' opinion on that? Like if I was to say do something with a retailer. So now, to give you some context, I have been approached by a retailer, relatively new, and I'm not going to say who they are because until I get information and make decisions and whatnot, I'm not going to do any of that. But they're looking at potentially doing stuff. Obviously, they know I've been around for a little bit, so they don't want to step on anyone's toes. You know, there's a bunch of back and forth we got to do anyway. My main point back to them was, what are you going to expect from me or out of this agreement? I'm committed to being an independent channel. I'm not tying myself to any retailer because I would rather stay independent. I've bloody put my life into this channel in a lot of ways and a lot of my spare time and whatnot, and even holidays. So I'm not going to just throw that away and give it to a retailer to do as they want with, because that's not how I roll. I also like to make sure my stuff is impartial. So I'm not tied to any retailer. Now, that's my thing to them, is that I'm not going to work with any retailer if they can't accept those sort of terms. So they might say, supply me a blaster to do a review on for free, but only if they're under the clear understanding that I will tell people it's a bad blaster and that they shouldn't buy it if I think that's the case, irrespective of if it was given to me for free or if I had to pay for it myself. That's my perspective, and I won't work with anyone who won't agree to those terms. That's just a personal thing, because I'm not going to just start trying to shill, because it's, yeah. But let me know what you guys think. That's my position on it. I'm happy to work with retailers and stores, because why not? I mean, if anything gets benefit out to people, then that's a win-win to me. And the more stuff that the retailers do openly with the community, ultimately it helps grow the community. So, you know, as long as nothing's untoward, I think it's fine. But obviously, like I said, I'm not going to work with any retailer unless they're willing to understand and agree to those sort of rules, because I'm an independent channel. It's staying that way. I'm not giving my channel to a retailer to do what they want with. And I'm staying impartial. It's as simple as that. It's the reason why I don't comment necessarily on retailers and whatnot, because there's a lot of people who have their favorite retailer, or they've had a very bad experience with a retailer, despite the fact they may only be 1 out of every 30 that has that or something, because everyone has a bad day. I'm not taking sides on any retailer. I'm not going to say to any retailer, I'll only deal with you and that's it, because to me that's just silly. That's not independent, that's not impartial. But that's my perspective. Let me know what you think of that. Obviously, that's going to be a bit of an interesting one. If enough of you say you should just not work with any retailers, then, well, fair enough. I suppose I'll probably go that way. Full disclosure on that, I'm not expecting people to say that, but you never know. Full disclosure, I do some work with CQ Blasters, Central Queensland Blasters. Now, there's a few reasons for this, and it's not anything you wouldn't have already probably realised. So, for one, I do a lot of videos out at their field. The reason is it's sort of the group that I was originally part of, G3, the Gladstone Gel Ball group. We helped get that field set up and everything because we wanted somewhere to play. Like, we wanted to start building up a field, a cool field, and do what we want and that sort of stuff. And CQ Blasters was a guy who was sort of part of that group and decided to make a business out of it so then we can make it bigger and better, which I'm all for. At the end of the day, I do occasionally give him some video clips and stuff that I've done at the field so he can use it to display the field, which, yeah, it is what it is. Generally think anything like specific for a retailer, I would try and avoid putting on my channel because it's not what the channel's for. Obviously, there is an exception with there was a competition entry video entry that I put up for, I think it was Command Elite, a little while ago. That was merely so that they could see it openly. And after I did actually apparently win that competition, so I got a couple of free bits out of that and gave them a copy of the video. It's still there. I mean, you can still watch it if you want. It doesn't bother me. But that was clearly a competition entry video. It wasn't my content, so to speak. So yeah, let me know what you think on that. CQ Blasters, I am actually the guy who owns it and runs it. I am a bit of a friend of. I've actually known him since I was doing car stuff. I actually did a car video on one of his cars. It was one of my earlier videos, the car showcase video. You can still see it on the channel if you're curious. It's an LX Tirana. And yeah, so I do work with him to an extent, and he does give me stuff at like cost price or a little bit cheaper. But that's also because in a lot of cases I help referee and run games at CQ Blasters field, and I help build the field. Mostly because I want to see it and I want to do it. Yeah, but at the end of the day, I'm not, for example, up here saying you should only ever buy through him and that's it, because I'm not going to do that. And I've even spoken to him about that, which he seems pretty cool with. So yeah, so full disclosure there. Again, if I'm doing anything that's with a store specifically sponsored or provided by that store, I'll let you know, but I'm still paying for the stuff through CQ Plus. I'm not getting anything for free, so yeah, it is what it is. But he likes also getting me to help out because obviously I do a fair bit of playing around with this stuff, so he gets my opinion, and he does occasionally give me stuff to test out to see if it's worth him actually stocking them. So the heavy milky gels, for example, he gave me a bag of those for free as a tester. He said he knew that I would test them and see how they go, so he gave them to me and said, let me know what you think. And I did. So he's going to get some more in and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so that's where that's at. Let me know what you think below. Very curious to see people's opinions on that one. I know that I think most people's opinion is going to be it's not too big a deal as long as it's clear what's going on and it's still impartial, which is obviously what I want to do anyway. So I'll clearly state if anything does happen there. But yeah, the other one is moving forward. It sort of ties into that, and that's one reason why the videos haven't been as quick as I would like, is because a lot of times I'm actually out helping run games so other people can play. So that does take a bit of time. But that's all right. I have a few things around that we're dealing with at the moment. Moving on from that, I want to get your opinion / interest / thoughts on... There's a couple of people or a couple of groups that are trying to do milsim games, very similar to like what Airsoft does in other countries. Interesting point on that. What's your opinion on something sort of similar but sort of not? So I did go to the milsim, Southeast Queensland milsim last year, that was run by Thurzaz, I think his name is. I'm probably completely mispronouncing that. Grant. And it was a lot of fun, but it was the first one of its kind in the country. So, yeah, there were issues. Of course there were. There always is on the first. But for the most part, we all sort of enjoyed it. A big group of us went down for it. There is another one coming up, which is Operation Eastern Predator, run by Milsim East in the village. I'm pretty sure I know why they're calling themselves Milsim East. We'll see what happens. It's interesting. But I was going to go to Operation Eastern Predator. Unfortunately, I've had to cancel that because I just don't have the time or money at the moment. I've got a few other things going on I've got to deal with, as you probably figured out. And that's not to do with the channel, that's stuff in life. So that's, family issues, that sort of thing. So unfortunately, I won't be able to go to that. It is looking very ambitious, and that does concern me a little bit because we sort of haven't got, most people in the community haven't got sort of that rapport or that experience with it there. It's like, it's going to flow easy. So I'm a bit worried that it might be a bit janky and weird, but I mean, apparently they've run that sort of stuff before for paintball. So yeah, it'll probably be great. Hopefully it'll be great. I really do hope it'll be good, because I'd love to see more of those sort of events. It'd be great. But we'll see what happens there. Unfortunately, I won't be able to go. I was going to go and take cameras and everything, but yeah, now I have to cancel because I just can't make the time. So that's where that is. But my point is, would you be interested in something like a bit like what I would call milsim light? So the idea is you sign up in advance. It's all pre-planned out because it'd be quite a big day. So it's one of the things that people need to plan ahead. I'd probably do it fairly locally to me, which means that people from Brisbane and stuff would have to travel to play. So it's one of those things where I'd want to make sure everyone had plenty of notice and knew what was going on. So they actually had a chance to attend if they wanted to. But where we sort of take a theme or a conflict or something, and we play a bunch of staged battles, which is with the rules and objectives set around sort of very, very, very loosely. Some of the battles actually happened during those historical events. So the first one I had an idea on. So this would be a day that I would be hosting, basically. So me and the channel would be hosting / running this day. I'd be playing occasionally, but I'd probably spend most of the day adminning and reffing. But sort of things like the first one would be D-Day. So that's fairly straightforward. So you'd have two teams, the United States Army or USF and the Wehrmacht or the German Army. And you can pick which team in advance, merely so it can split up. Now the teams are mainly in name than anything else, but because I'd want everyone to be able to play every game and scenario from both sides to get a full experience. But you know, it'd be a bit cool, that sort of thing. Like if you want to dress up, you can dress up. And I'd say props to that. Like first game would be an airborne assault sort of game, and after you finish the first round, the team swaps sides. So now all of a sudden the Wehrmacht become the airborne and the US Army are the defenders in Normandy. Second game would be an actual beach landing where you actually have to take lines up across the map, and the spawns and rules change as you go to reflect that. And again, you'd swap over, so both teams get a chance to attack and defend. And then the last one, I still got to figure out exactly what it is, but we're looking at potential assassination or a objective capture thing. So I'll figure it out. But let me know what your thoughts are. It'll be a fun day. It'll be, yep, there's solid games. If you want to play in a group with a team, you want to use comms, all that, it'll definitely help. But the nature of it is having a bit of fun, dealing with a bit of the objective-based gaming, but to the point where like this game runs for half an hour, then you've got 15-20 minutes to sit down, have a rest and rearm. You swap sides, you play the same game again but from the opposite side or the opposite team, and then you stop for an hour, have a break, have a drink, you can all talk shit, you know, that sort of thing, and just keep going basically from the morning to the afternoon. It'll be a full day. I mean, you could theoretically do, if it works and gets popular, you could do 2 days and even run some into the night as night missions, that sort of thing. Like, let me know what you think of that sort of thing. I think personally, I know from a lot of people I've been talking to, a lot of them would be more keen for that sort of thing where you don't have to necessarily commit to a full-on milsim environment. You can have it's a lot more action, it's a lot more fun, it's a lot more engaging. I think that would be good for a lot of people. I still want to see the full milsims and I want to play them, but I was thinking of doing something like that, hosting it as the channel. Let me know what you think. I'm still working on some rule sets and whatnot on how to make it all work, and like it's not going to happen anytime soon. It's something I'd like to do, but I have no intention on doing it in the next couple of months because it just won't be feasible. But if it is something you'd be interested in doing, let me know, because I'd love to actually do it. I think it'd be great, and it'd be one of those things where each year you do it, but it'll be a different theme. So this year's D-Day, and next year could be Korean War or Vietnam and the Battle of Long Tan, which there is a movie of that coming out soon. Go see it. That'll be good to see. And then you could do one for, say, I don't know, Desert Storm. You could do one for Papua New Guinea. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff you could potentially take on, which Australia has been involved in. So, I mean, you could do anything with that. And that's what I'd like to do. Like, each year it's a different setting. And, you know, before we go into each game, I go through a bit of a, you know, this is what actually happened in the battle. This is very, very loosely what you guys are going to sort of be doing on a very small scale. So, just for a bit of thematic experience, I suppose, more than anything. Anyway, yeah, let me know what you're saying. I'm definitely waffling on about that, but that's what I was thinking. It'd be cool to do. There would be a buy-in because there would be a monetary outlay, but it's one of those things I'd have to work it out. And obviously, I don't want to make it stupid expensive because I'm not planning on making money out of it. I just want the day to be good. So that would be my plan. Let me know what you think. Curious to hear some opinions on that one. The next and I suppose last subject I have for you now today is, so that's all I can remember that I wanted to talk about. I'm sure there was other things. I know there was something else and I've just forgotten completely. So, oh well, it is what it is. Anyway, I did post up a few times, so if you had any questions, I would answer them. So, first one is Instagram, Marshall Krebs. What are your thoughts on grenades? Good, get them. They're bloody useful, especially when you're dealing with close quarter areas and no one has grenades. You get pinned behind a corner and you can't move because you're both gone. They are wonderful. So I do have one here, which is one of the ones M4A1 Gel Blaster released recently. I quickly went in and bought one so I could do a bit of testing and playing with it. I've only thrown it around in the house and it seems okay. It's an impact grenade. It needs to hit the ground to actually go off. But generally speaking, all the gel ball grenades are inconsistent. I do have one of the green and grey T238 ones, whatever they are. They flip out sideways. That seems to work better. It holds a lot more gels, but it is bigger. Generally speaking, what we do when we play at fields with grenades is if you feel the gel hit you or you're within 2 to 3 meters of it, you've been hit. It's the only real way to do it at the moment because that could land right next to me and not a single gel hits me. It's entirely possible. Or it'll land right behind me and my back would get showered, but because of my plate carrier or something, I didn't actually feel any of them. So, yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, thoughts on grenades, definitely go for it. I feel like the only way you could actually run grenades is with a rule like that because otherwise it wouldn't actually help. So, alright, so Facebook. Got a few. So, Jason, how about a gel ball comp between regions in Queensland for some fun and make new friends? Haha, funnily enough, someone's already ahead of you on that one. And I'm not talking about like the Gorilla Blasters speedball or whatever they call it down south. I'm not talking about that. But I do know that CQ Blasters want to, because they're now running a Gladstone and a Rocky field, they do want to eventually have a Gladstone and a Rocky team and like once a month or once every now and then have the teams meet up for some competitive, fun competitive games. I'm all for it because why not? You get to shoot more people. I'm all for it. Tips on accuracy at 300 FPS. Do not go above it and make sure you have the right barrel for cylinder length. So you basically want the volume of the cylinder to be twice as much volume as the full barrel. Seems to be the sweet spot, at least talking with Airsoft and also what Leguido's tested, because otherwise the air pressure tends to throw them out. Get a decent hop-up, don't get a cheap, crappy one. Some of the cheap ones do work quite well, but unfortunately I can't tell you exactly which ones. And different blasters, so I've already taken it down, but my ACR has a DK J10 adjustable hop-up on it, and it seems to work brilliantly. So there is that. So good hop-up, adjustable hop-up. Make sure your barrel's right and not too short. And also, that's sort of the best I can do. We have a couple of guys who have blasters up around that, and they're usually all right with decent length barrels. I think the shorter barrels is where they get unstuck, is where you would get unstuck on the accuracy in a big way. But it is what it is. So to be honest, we found the sweet spot to be around 280 FPS, where it's powerful enough that it flies about as far as they're going to fly, because 300 FPS, they don't really fly any further. But they're not so much air pressure coming out that it doesn't blow them all over the place. Of course, the slightest breeze and accuracy is out the window anyway. But the best thing with accuracy at any FPS is volume of fire. The more gels you throw down range, the more likely you are to actually hit multiple times. So that's my tips. But good hop up, decent barrel. That's what I'm going to say. I'm not saying like Bruise Master, just a good barrel and a good length barrel. Do I have trouble unscrewing Gen 8 gearboxes? No, but I haven't done one in a while, so there's that. Dave, what's the optimal FPS for current gel balls? So the Milkies, like I said, around 280 seems to be the sweet spot where it's easy to achieve, the blaster's still reliable, and it's still fairly accurate. So it seems to be around the sweet spot. So yeah, I mean, you can go higher, but the higher pressure you're running, the more stress you're putting on the components, and that's when we tend to have our blasters break. Most of our guys who have run, souped up blasters, they tend to not last very long because they don't have the quality in them in a lot of cases. Even if you start putting other stuff in them, something always seems to give out. So yeah, 280 FPS seems to be about the sweet spot at the moment. Andrew, what are your thoughts on a Gel Blasters Association? My thoughts, cool. Go for it. I mean, I'd be all for it. My first question would be, what's the purpose? So in regards to, say, clay target shooting or sports shooting, rifle shooting, that's pistol shooting, you need an association or a club in order to actually hold a license or be able to hold a gun range, all that sort of stuff, and run it all. I don't know. Like, to me, an association, unless you have a purpose and a reason for being, I suppose, it's kind of pointless. It's sort of just making a club, which I'm all for. If you want to make a club, then go for it. If you want to be an association, though, there's a lot more involved. So I did used to be quite involved in a non-for-profit organisation, which was a drifting club. That's where I got started in a lot of the stuff. So I've dealt quite a bit with that. I was secretary, treasurer, president. I was all the roles for a while before I just called it quits. But the first thing is, what's the purpose? How are we going to make sure we're sticking to that and not making things worse? And why would people want to join or be a part of it? If you can answer those three questions, I'm all for it. It's too easy for people to make a group for the sake of making a group. That's usually what all of your friends will do. Like, that's why you have so many different gel ball teams and that sort of thing, is because a bunch of people get together and like, oh, let's make our own team. Like, yeah, cool, go for it. But something like that, I think you're leaning more towards an actual properly accredited organisation. What's the purpose? If I knew the purpose, I could give you a bit more information. But my point on that is, I'm all for it as long as there's a valid reason, other than just having it for the sake of having it. Because I don't necessarily think that's needed. Having it as a central, probably actually the easiest one off the top of my head, having a central focus point for dealing with like politicians, police, that sort of stuff, and retailers even. Yeah. However, and this does sort of tie over just in general, any association like that, I would be very careful about retailers' positions. So personally, I would not want anyone in any store to have a leading position in the association. Be part of it, have a voice, definitely. The reason I say that is because it'll very quickly turn into this association's only is owned or run or in the favour of this shop. And then it gets down to infighting and just stupidity. So I would be very cautious on that part. I'm not saying don't have them involved. Of course you'd want to have them involved, but as long as they understand that they're not going to take over. Because I don't expect most people to do that normally, but it does sometimes tend to happen just by circumstance or by design, by some people being that sort of person. So I'd be very careful about that side of it, but I'm all for it. Especially if it means we get to hold them to account for the fact that there are some of them who, even though we were hearing problems with these blasters over in China, were still saying they were the best thing ever and you need to buy them. I think that personally, that very much annoyed me because I was hearing things about them and I wasn't even that popular then. I was just a random person on Facebook. So yeah, I'm all for it if it's going to keep people honest and help people out. But there needs to be a clear purpose. You need to have a defined mission statement or purpose. What is the point of our existence? And how are we going to make sure we stick to that and don't get sidetracked or diverted? Oh, look at that. Funnily enough, I remembered my other point. About that, I was in the middle of ranting about something and my camera turned off for itself. So yeah, I did remember my point, and that was, some of you, most of you are probably not aware, but just a heads up, I am actually now part of the Queensland Airsoft Sports Club, QASC. They're pretty much a lobbyist group trying to get airsoft legalised in Queensland. So yeah, be aware of that. It's still illegal. At the moment, we're trying to talk to politicians, and it's anything to do with politics is slow going, as you might expect. So the Lib Dems over in WA, I believe that's them. They actually have a member, an MP, who goes to New Zealand every year with the Oscar Zulu team and plays airsoft. So he's actually introducing a bill this year. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, just a heads up, I'm part of that group, so just so you know. No, still legal, and yeah. Obviously, yes, I want to play airsoft. That should be fairly obvious. So, of course, I'm helping them out. And the other side of that is they get access to, I suppose, my ability to make videos and that sort of thing. So, that's cool. All right, a couple more questions. Raven Hawk, would you buy a Gel Blaster L1A1 if it was a thing? Yes, I would. For those of you who are not sure what an L1A1 is, I'll put a picture up somewhere. It's a rifle that was used by the Australian military for, I think, a couple decades before they adopted the EF-80H style. So, yes, I would definitely buy one of those if it was a thing. Definitely. Thoughts on 1.3 burst, 1.4 springs, accuracy and range. Get a 1.3, 1.4s tend to break things and you don't really get that much of an increase without other things supporting it. 1.4s in a lot of cases tend to be putting too much stress on the gearbox and they tend to break. You can make it work, definitely. I know a lot of people have done that and it's been fine, but I also know a lot of people who have done that and it's broken within an hour. So yeah, at that point you're sort of getting very, very touchy. 1.3 with a solid build and a decent barrel and consistent gels and a hop up, and you'll be going good. You'll be fairly accurate. You get the best range you're realistically going to get. So that's my thoughts on that. I'd go 1.3 for those reasons. Favorite stock blaster? It was originally the Wells, despite the fact I didn't have one for ages, but now it's gone to the JMACR. I'm just loving that thing. It's as simple as that. I still have not done a thing to it. I've been meaning to throw an aloe barrel and green O-ring in it, and I just haven't because I haven't had time. And yet it still goes well. It still goes really well. So that's my favorite stock blaster at the moment. May change with some of the upcoming stuff. So yeah, I was actually really, really personally hoping that this would be good because I would have loved an AK. Yeah, and obviously I got the drum mag for it and it broke. Anyway, current state of gel blasting in Queensland, or more to the, so this is Brett, more to the point, thoughts on the idiots doing drive-bys and being caught public menace. My opinion on anyone who takes one of these out into public and shoots someone else for any reason is you're a idiot. And you are going to, and the police have even stated that if you do that, you're going to get charged as if you were in public with a real firearm, which as far as I'm concerned, is your own damn fault. If you're going to use one of these for something stupid like that, if you get caught, don't complain. Like, don't say, oh, it's just a toy. Like, no, a lot of people don't know that it's a toy. Like, there's legitimate issues that could happen there. And that's the sort of shit which will, pardon my French, that's the sort of stuff which will get the sport put in a bad light and potentially later on down the line have issues legally. So, thoughts on the idiots? Don't be idiots. It's very simple. Like, the good thing is, at least, that the vast majority of the community, every time something like this happens, they jump on it and they condemn it straight away, which is exactly what we should do. But yeah, if you're thinking of doing it, just don't do it. It's not silly. It's not hard. Like, if you want to shoot your mates out in the backyard, then go for it, but don't be stupid about it. Don't go out in public. Don't go shooting someone from a car because you think you're cool. You're not cool. You're an idiot. And none of us think you're cool. So, those are my opinions on that. It's probably not a surprise to anyone, but yeah. I think that's all the questions I've got that I can find. So, if I missed one, I missed one. Sorry about that. I'll do what I can. Post it down below and I'll try and answer as best I can in the comments below. But yeah. So that's my position. That's where I'm at the moment. If you've got any more questions, again, keep the conversation going. Comment down below. Happy to talk about it, although obviously I may not answer straight away. I am part of the Gelsoft AU, I think it's Gelsoft AU, I really should have checked that, Discord server. However, don't think that you can just jump on there and start flicking me messages because I barely get on Discord as it is. So I jump on when I can to see what things are going on. But yeah, I'm not on there all the time. So I can't guarantee if you go on there, you'll be able to get a hold of me. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on everything we've discussed. If you've got any thoughts, any of that, let me know what you think. Let me know what you'd like to see. Definitely keen on that. I'll take any criticism. And yeah, if you want to support the channel, don't forget, obviously I've got 2 big supporters at the moment, so I'm happy with that, and thank you to those guys. Of course, it is 100% optional, but if you do want to do it, options are down below. You can either buy me a Pepsi Max, which I could definitely use a few of this weekend, or you could just directly donate through PayPal. Both are either 1 or 4 monthly options, and you can basically pick how much you want. So yeah, if you want to do that, that's down below. I'll let you know what's going on with the patches and everything going forward. Let me know what you think of all that. That's about all I got for you, so I'll see you next time. None of you guys can see this, but I'm wearing my underwear, so